video, I discussed 100 ideas for using your planner. I recently came up with 40 more ideas for using your planner, and I'm really excited to share those with you today. I'm listing the categories and timestamps for each of the categories here on the screen, as well as in the description down below.
Before I'm too invested, I should probably ask you.
The first idea is to use your planner for a zone cleaning schedule. And this is different from a general cleaning schedule because you actually break up your home into different zones, and then you can assign different days or weeks to work on each of those zones. For myself, I have 5 zones in my house, so I've created a zone cleaning schedule that breaks it up into 5 different weeks, and I have that in my home maintenance notebook. In my previous video, I had mentioned a long-term home maintenance list, but you can also have home maintenance for things that occur on a monthly basis or things that are quarterly or even by season. So for example, every month you'll probably want to clean your garbage disposal. Every quarter you'll probably want to power wash your windows. If you're breaking tasks down by season, maybe in fall you want to clean out the gutters. And in spring you could fertilize your lawn. Whereas in summer you could oil the garage door chain and hinges. And you can have all of these tasks written down in the order that you want to complete them in that year. So for example, you have an every month section that lists out all of the home maintenance tasks that you want to do every month, and then you have a quarterly section for all of the home maintenance tasks that you want to do every quarter, and then you could also have sections for each season. I also like the idea of using your planner for emergency preparedness. For example, you could have an evacuation plan for your family in the event of a natural disaster, and you could have that included in your planner. You could have a list of items that you always want to keep stocked in your home in the event of an emergency. So for example, all of the water that you want to have, all of the food that you want to have, and the types of food that will work well for long-term storage, and also like when you need to change that out because it will get expired. You can also have a list of things that you want to always have on hand in your first aid kit. And you may want to have a list of emergency phone numbers. And I have a video that shows how I set up the emergency preparedness section in my planner. If you want to find out more about that, I'll link that video down below for you. I also like to use my planner for shopping lists, and I'm not just talking about grocery lists or department store lists. I'm referring to online shopping lists because I can just pull my planner open while I'm on the computer and doing my online shopping, and I usually like to keep that either in the sidebar of my planner or on a dashboard that I can move from week to week.
Yeah, tell me what you want, let me hear that.
In my financial planner, I have a page that lists out the annual payments that I need to make. So for example, property taxes I pay twice a year. So something that this allows me to do is to prepare for those payments. So then each month I put aside a certain amount. So when that month arrives, I don't have to worry about whether or not I can pay the amount that I owe. You could also have a page for your subscriptions like Hulu or Netflix or the Planner Society kit. On this page, you could not only write down when that subscription renews, but also how much you are paying each month or each year. Especially for subscriptions that are charged once a year, it would be helpful to know when that's going to be charged so that you can prepare for that. Another idea is to use your planner for a sales tracker. There are stores like Nordstrom's who have anniversary sales during a certain part of the year, and it would be helpful to write down when those sales typically happen so that you don't miss them. And kind of along that same note, a gift wish list could help you to write down items that you want, but you're waiting for maybe a sale for. So for example, there are some Etsy shops that I really want stickers from, but I'm waiting for their annual sales to come up because I know that on certain days of the year they typically have a sale. I also like to keep a savings tracker, and I have a video where I set up a savings tracker for my planner that I'll link down below for you if you want to see that. And I think a planner is great to use for decision making, not just financial decision making, but also those major life-changing choices like whether or not you should switch your career. I like to write down all of the pros and cons associated with each decision so that I can see it from different viewpoints. And I found that not only that helps promote discussion with my husband about whether or not we should go in a certain direction on a decision, but it helps me to make the final decision in the end. And then because it's in my planner, I can reference back to that later if I need to. You can use your planner for holiday decor. So maybe you want to plan out when you're going to get your decorations down from the attic or wherever you're storing them, and when you're actually going to decorate your home. You could also take photos of how you decorated this year because maybe you really like how it looked, and print that out, put it in your planner, and then use that as a reference for next year when you're decorating so you can arrange things in a similar way. You can also use your planner for an insert that has a list of different seasonal foods and write down which month that is sold during the store that it's sold at, so that you can purchase that item before it is sold out. So for example, my husband really likes these chocolate and peppermint cookies from Trader Joe's. So we would buy that sometime around Christmas time, and I could write down in my planner when those are typically starting to be sold at Trader Joe's. Another idea is to record your lessons learned from the holidays. So for example, for Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, 4th of July, any sort of holiday where you have different activities or food associated with it, you can take notes on what went well, what didn't go well, what you forgot to do, what you should make less of next year, what you should make more of next year. And maybe your kids really liked a recipe that you were trying out this year, so you can write down to make that again next year. So then the following year, when that holiday comes around again, you can reference your planner with those notes that you took this year. You can use your planner for a card tracker. There are so many different occasions that we send out cards for, not just Christmas, but birthdays and anniversaries, graduations and weddings, etc. And it could be really useful to plan out when you're going to make that card if that is something that you want to do, or when you're going to buy the card, and also when you will send that card, so that you are able to stay on top of things and you don't forget to send out a card to that person. And this is something that I have been doing, and I feel like it's really helped me.
It's funny how times roll by.
In the faith section, one idea is to have a prayer journal. This is something that I really like to do, is to write out my prayers. And the idea is that you can later on look back at what you have written and see how you have grown spiritually. You can use your planner for gratitude for God's blessings, whether that be gratitude for prayers that God has answered, or gratitude for just God's characteristics in general, gratitude for the blessings that God has brought you. I have a video where I kind of discuss setting this up in a faith planner, and I'll link that down below for you. Bible memory verses can also go in a planner. You could have a new memory verse for every week or every day, depending on what your goal is. And I found this website that has 100 Bible memory verses to help you get started. I'll link that down below if that is something that you want to try out. You could also use your planner for a tithing tracker or just to track donations to charities in general. If you are working on making daily prayer into a habit, you may want to use a prayer tracker. And in addition to checking off whether or not you prayed that day, you could also keep track of how long you prayed each day. And I also think it's really great to use your planner for Bible reading. So I have a free printable, which is a Bible reading tracker, and I'll link the video where you can access that down below if you are interested. In the volunteering category, maybe you want to create an insert in your planner that lists out the different volunteering opportunities in your local community. And if you have a community app like Nextdoor, you could possibly ask others in your community for a list of those volunteering opportunities. You could print that out and you could add that to your planner. And you can also track the number of hours that you spend volunteering. In the physical health section, one idea is to have an insert that lists out all of those medical examinations and appointments that you have to go to every year. So that would be, for example, your mammogram appointment or your eye appointment, when you need to order your contacts, when you need to schedule your well woman exam or your biannual dentist appointment. So this could have each of the 12 months written down on it, and then under each month the appointment that you want to schedule. So then at the beginning of the year or whenever it is you schedule out and plan for your appointments, you can use that sheet as a reference point so you don't forget anything. An energy levels tracker could be useful to bring to a doctor's appointment if you are trying to pinpoint the source of your fatigue. So you could rate on a scale of 1 to 10 just how tired you are feeling each day. A symptoms tracker could help you troubleshoot your health problems with your doctor. So you can have that as a reference point for discussing with your doctor later on. A caffeine tracker could be useful if you're someone like me who really needs to cut down on the amount of caffeine they're ingesting, especially coffee and soda. So what I am doing is I am tracking out the number of milligrams that I'm consuming per day so that I can monitor my progress as I try to cut back on caffeine. If you need to reduce the stress in your life, you may have an interest in setting up a wellness planner or a wellness section in your planner. And I have a video showing my setup of my wellness planner, and I'll link that video in the description below if you want to see how I set that up. But an idea for a wellness section is to have a playlist of songs that you can listen to when you're feeling sad or when you're feeling angry or when you're feeling anxious. I have those songs written out in my planner so I can reference them if I need a quick pick-me-up. You can have a list of people in your support network, your family, friends, mentors, who you can reach out to and talk to if you're feeling especially lonely or just need to talk to someone about what you're going through. Another idea is to have things like cognitive behavioral therapy worksheets to fill out to help with anxiety. You could also schedule in your planner self-care accountability check-ins for mind, body, and soul. Really evaluating how you're doing and what you could be doing better, and then making a plan of action to improve in those areas.
It's like the two of us are golden or gold.
The next category I'm calling personal because it includes interests and self-improvement. You could create a seasonal hobbies and activities insert. And this would include any sort of activities or hobbies that you tend to do around the same time each year. For example, in fall, maybe you typically like to go apple picking and you like to go buy a pumpkin spice latte. But in spring, you really like to get into your hobby of gardening, and in winter, you like to get back into knitting. So you could, on this insert, break it up by season and write down the activities that you want to make sure you do each season. And then this insert could help you in the planning process. If you are someone who wants to improve their vocabulary, writing down a new word either each week or each day, depending on what your goal is, and then the definition of that word could help you commit that to memory. You can also use your planner for a bucket list. And of course, there are your traditional bucket lists, but you could break it down by different categories. You've probably heard of something like a fall bucket list, but maybe you want to have a bucket list of places you want to visit specifically and activities that you want to do. So maybe you want to swim with dolphins and you want to ride in a hot air balloon. Then you could have a bucket list for things that you want to accomplish, whether that be in your career, your finances, creatively, and in your education, etc. So maybe you want to write a book, or maybe you want to pursue your master's degree. I mentioned in the other video that you could use your planner for your hobbies that you already have, but you can also use your planner for hobbies that you are starting. So things that you need to learn. For example, my mom right now is trying to learn different techniques for card making. So she could use her planner to plan out and organize the different tutorial videos that she can watch on techniques like die cutting and ink blending, dry embossing, heat foil techniques, etc. And then she could also list out in her planner the supplies that she's going to need to buy in order to try those techniques out, and then plan out the specific days or times that she will work on each of those techniques. A planner would also be a great place to keep inspiring song lyrics. And if you are someone who likes to listen to podcasts, you could list out the podcasts that you want to listen to in the future and try out. Or you could create a podcast tracker where you track the podcast episodes that you've already listened to. A planner is also a great place to keep a vision board. A vision board allows you to visualize the goals that you have for your life. I think the person who came up with this next idea is Ali Edwards from One Little Word Workshop, which was created for scrapbooking, but this can also be applied to planners. The idea of this is that you choose one word to focus on for the year. For example, if you choose the word connect, it's because you want to strengthen your relationships with your friends and family. Maybe that's by spending more time with them. If you tend to overcomplicate your life, maybe you could choose the word simplify, etc. It's completely up to you. But you could put this word on to a dashboard in your planner, and you can move that dashboard into each current week to help motivate you and to help guide the goals that you set for yourself throughout the year. I hope this video gave you some ideas for using your planner in new ways, and I would really appreciate it if you could share this video with your friends and anyone you know who would be interested in watching too. I'll see you next Saturday. Bye!
I don't fit into your box, beauty